All right, let's talk about Jack Campbell, the rookie linebacker for the Detroit Lions. I made a video already talking about his first performance, his week 1 preseason performance. I guess technically week 2 if you count Hall of Fame game, but the Lions' first preseason game where I thought he had a really good game in that one, and so I was very excited to see, will he continue it in this game? And I think for the most part, yes. Maybe a nitpick here or there, but for the most part, yeah, he's showing that he is, he was a criticized draft selection when it happened, but he is showing that he is, I think, a first-round talent linebacker from what I've seen so far. So, yeah, let's start off with this play, and it's going to be kind of a unique play where you're going to have really nobody is going to be blocking Campbell on this one. You have a tight end who's going to flash over, but I kind of have it look like Campbell's going to be the one who's, who he's blocking. But watch how when this play begins, he does flash around to here, but he's blocking the edge rusher. There's really no one who is blocking Jack Campbell on this play. He has a straight shot to try and get to the halfback if that's what he chooses, but there's a reason why I brought up the tight end who's flashing over. Because of that contact, it could still be a little bit difficult for Campbell to try and find a way to just get through the gap right there and be able to make a tackle. Like, watch how there is some contact on Campbell, but he doesn't really get moved at all. He is still able to clog up the lane quickly and make a tackle. Again, several ways you could look at this. You could say, oh, wow, he made a tackle when he was unblocked. I'm very impressed. That would be not an entirely unfair thing to talk about with Campbell, but at the same time, there are going to be plays where you're unblocked in the NFL, right? And being able to go in and make the tackle is important. So I would say this was a good play. Also, something like this where on paper, he shouldn't really be getting into the play if everything works perfectly, where the way it's supposed to work is it's going to be a quick wide receiver screen towards the top of the screen. I have circled where Jack Campbell is. That's the guy in white is Jack Campbell. Watch how when this play begins, quickly thrown to the wide receiver. And again, you see why I said on paper, Campbell should not be getting into this play. You have 2 blockers in front with 3 defensive backs, so hopefully someone can come in and make a tackle. And, for Jacksonville, they're not expecting this to go for a ton of yards right here. They're just trying to get to the first down marker. It was a 3rd and 1. They have to get to the 24. So for Jack Campbell, what can he do to try and make a positive impact on this play? Well, you might as well go over there and see what happens. As you see, Campbell does get over there, and I'm not going to sit here and say it was blazing speed or anything, but he's able to go over there and help make the tackle. It was a first down. There was nothing Campbell could have done to prevent that, but at least he was able to go in and make a positive impact on the play, which is what I liked. Also, something like this, where what's going to happen on this play is it's going to be it's a running play, and you have actually the right guard is going to go over, and he's going to be the one designed to block Campbell, which might seem a bit odd. Why would you have the right guard be the guy who's going over? But it's because this is a designed run towards the offense's right. Watch how the handoff is made, and you see the right guard is in position to block Campbell towards the bottom of the screen, but Campbell is not playing the blocker right here. At the end of the day, the goal is to get to the ball carrier, not get around the blocker, and if the blocker is trying to block you to where you already want to be, well, then let him. Don't worry about him too much, because the halfback has decided that the original running lane he wanted to go through is not a great one, and he's going to pick a different one, which I don't necessarily even disagree with. But because he does that, Campbell pays attention, and he's able to run over and make that tackle. It's just good awareness from Jack Campbell, which is something we certainly saw a lot from him in college, was just his ability to realize what was going on and to be able to make the play that way. Now, I said I had some nitpicks. This one isn't necessarily a nitpick, just a question. I really think reasonable minds can differ on what you think he should do on this play, but he's gonna be rushing the passer on this play, kind of. It's man coverage, and typically what you do in man coverage is if the guy you're supposed to be covering is just blocking, well, then you run in and you expect it to either be a handoff, although you're covering the halfback, so that's not the case here, or you expect it to be he's just blocking, and you try to get towards the quarterback. So watch how when this play begins, halfback starts off blocking, but then makes a little bit of a move, right? Now he's running out to run a route, And for Jack Campbell, he's in a difficult situation. I think knowing what we know, he probably should just run over and make a play on the quarterback, right? He's right there. He's right in the quarterback, C.J. Beathard's face. I think the issue is he doesn't know exactly where the quarterback is looking, right? I mean, he was looking at the halfback, Campbell was, but, if the quarterback is looking at the halfback as well, and you decide to run towards the quarterback, he can just flip it over you, get it to the halfback, and now there's a guy who has the ball with nobody who was supposed to cover him because you're out of the play. So in a perfect world, he would step over and be able to make a play on the quarterback. Instead, he does the safe thing by making sure that he can play, coverage. And hey, it worked out. I mean, that's a great example of why, hey, it's always a good idea to make sure you don't let someone be wide open, because it resulted in an interception. Now, obviously, in a vacuum, you would always rather get a sack or a pressure than not get a sack or a pressure. But in this scenario, it happened to work out. Is that a bad play? I really don't know. I don't think I can fully say it was a bad play or not. It was certainly one that I'm sure when he watched on tape, maybe kicked himself a little bit over of, oh, he could have had a sack. Although, again, the fact that it was an interception, maybe you're not kicking yourself too much over it. Also, heading over to this play, this is probably the one play that I would say is like a legitimate criticism of Jack Campbell, and one that I think could be like a criticism that we just see of Campbell. Listen, guy ran a 4.65 40-yard dash, right? He's not the fastest linebacker, and for his size, that's pretty good, right? Because he's a huge, physical player, and usually, actually, the linebackers you want, a lot of times, sometimes the linebackers that get drafted that are kind of a middle size and a middle speed, those ones are the ones that end up being bust. Usually, it's the guys who are either really fast or the guys who are really physical that end up being the very, very good players, but, obviously, it helps to have speed, and watch what happens on this play as it's going to be a run towards the bottom of the screen. Watch as when this play begins, Campbell is able to get to the outside. I do have to say, Campbell does have that tendency to it seems like he's always getting unblocked. It seems like no one's ever blocking him, and some people might say that's luck, but I feel like there's people that just find a way to make that happen. Some people just, find a way to have something like that where they can, I remember I compared Leighton Vander Esch, 4 years ago in a video. I compared him to the stonefish, that fish that stays at the bottom of the ocean and looks like it's just part of the ground, but then all of a sudden pops up and eats another fish. Some linebackers are like that. Maybe Jack Campbell is another one of those guys. Maybe he's a stonefish. I don't know. But okay, he's in this situation, but you remember how I set up this video. You remember I said this is going to be a negative, even though if there were positive elements. Watch as the halfback is able to just run by Jack Campbell. The reality is Campbell's going to have to figure out exactly how he wants to take his angles, because he's just not as fast as some other players. I mean, that's just simply as, what it comes down to. And that doesn't mean that guys are always going to run by you if you're a little bit slower. That is not how that works. A lot of times you can still find ways to make these plays happen. You just have to take the correct angle, and you have to realize that guys are faster than you and play as a slower linebacker should. Certainly no major issue there, but I do think that the reason why some people were maybe lower on Jack Campbell is because of that, and we have seen that. There is a flaw in his game, and I think the question will be, how often will that flaw come up? Will it come up consistently, or will it just be something that every now and then shows up? Right now, in the preseason, it's only been something that's shown up like once, so I'm not overly concerned about it, but it is something to put a pin in, I think, when we do our evaluation. But as a whole, again, guy's just being consistent, putting himself in the right spot in coverage consistently, filling up the right gap in the running game consistently, and when he has to make a tackle, gets over and makes a tackle. And that's what you want out of a linebacker. As an off-ball linebacker, he's certainly living up to the billing of, when he was drafted. So, while it was a criticized pick at the time, feeling like less people are criticizing it right now. And again, I think a lot of the criticism was a carryover as well from the Gibbs selection earlier on. But yeah, so far I've been impressed with Jack Campbell. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Jack Campbell? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.